Hi everyone, welcome to TMC, the Mainframe Community with Mainframe Society. This is a series where we explore different facets of the Mainframe community and how it interjects with other communities, how they can coalesce and sort of strengthen one another. I'm Niall Ashley, I'll be hosting today. I'm an ambassador with Mainframe Society. I'm also a chairperson with the Waves 101 working group in the United Kingdom. I'm also an IBM champion 2 years running. And in my day job, I'm a security consultant for Vitali Limited, also in the United Kingdom. Joining me today is Ajeet. Ajeet, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, I am a computer science student at the University of Birmingham, and I'm also a IBM Z Student Ambassador, and I'm here today to talk about my experiences about community.
So Ajeet, tell me, what does community mean to you?
Community to me, I'd say it's sort of like an extended family, you might not see your family, like your extended family, as often as you think. You might not get along with certain members of your family, but at the end of the day, they're always there for you. You've got people to come home to and talk to, share your feelings, share your ambitions, and it goes on a deeper level than your casual friends, I think.
And it's the metaphorical kind of blood is thicker than water, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like thick or thin. Even when things go bad, you still have someone to depend on. You still have people to grow with, is what I think.
So you teach and to be taught by, sort of. It's a kind of symbiotic relationship, right?
Yeah, exactly. You give and you take. It goes both ways, and I think there's a lot more you can learn by being in a part of a community as opposed to doing everything as a lone wolf, which I think everyone goes through at some point in their life.
So you're actually part of a few different community groups, aren't you? Because you're part of, as you mentioned, the Z Student Ambassadors. Do you want to explain a little bit about that to the audience?
Yeah, so sometime in summer last year, I was kind of just looking to get involved in something, do something a bit extra outside of my university degree, maybe do have something to say on my CV in my next interview. And I came across IBM Z Student Ambassador. At the time, honestly, I didn't really know what the Z was. I just saw IBM and I thought, okay, this is like a tech company. It's got something to do with computer science. Let me give it a shot and apply. And that's when I first started reading about Mainframe. And initially, I thought this was very much like a technical role. I'm going to need to fill out, I think the requirement was to complete the concepts badge, which is like a technical
with Z Explore
challenge on Z Explore. And what I quickly found is that it was a lot more involved with humans, with people, rather than just filling out code and getting an assignment, getting 80%, pass the module. And we started having these weekly calls, weekly meetings with the people in charge at your big year. And it quickly changed in my mind that I'm not here to, quickly slap something on my CV and just say, oh, I know about COBOL. I can talk about Mainframe. It's not like a little server in your university lab. It powers the whole world now. And after doing that for a few weeks, I started meeting new people from all over the continent, all over the world even, and finding out about the issues involved in Mainframe, the aging population problem, getting more people interested, people shifting to cloud, other problems facing with that, and it was all very interesting because the speed in which you go from 0 to 60 is quite insane, to be honest. The time frame in which I had no clue about Mainframe to where I'm sitting right now, being an IBM Z Student Ambassador, IBM Z advocate in the community, was very fast compared to, say, other communities I've been involved in. So I think the people drive a lot of the movement and drive a lot of the experience that you have in learning and growing.
Yeah. And speaking of drive, 0 to 60 is miles per hour for any audience who use kilometers per hour.
Yes.
So, but you weren't just part of one community group. You were actually also with the Army Officer training, weren't you, at university? So you were doing both at once alongside your studies. Yeah,
I think this also stems from my time last summer. Actually, not even, probably the summer before that, where I came out of the first year of university feeling like I hadn't really achieved much beyond sitting there and doing my coursework. And I really wanted to, like you say, push myself outside my comfort zone and do something and learn something that maybe I thought previously I would never be able to do. And what better way to do that than putting myself in the middle of like a training battlefield and like, learning weapons handling. The idea came to me, again, from like another person. Like I didn't go online and search for stuff and find out how am I going to get my hands on a weapon and start shooting around. I'm not that guy, don't worry. But it was a friend at Cambridge UAS, which is the University Air Squadron, which is part of the Royal Air Force.
Yeah.
So I was like, hang on a minute, this sounds really cool. How am I meant to do this though? Like I've never had any flying experience. I don't think my leadership skills are anywhere near where I want them to be. So I then went and did the Google search, like how do I get involved in these sort of very hands-on, very like real life environment, communities. And then I came across the University Navy, University Officer Training Corps with the Army. And that's basically how I got involved. So it was a whole application process, obviously, making sure you're mentally stable, testing your physical fitness as well as a threshold to how to get in. But again, as with any other community, the difference between a community and a cult, I would say, is that a community is open to the outsiders.
To empower you.
Yeah. They're there for you. They've got their ears open, and their goal at the end of the day is to expand the community. Bring in people that are interested, as opposed to a cult where you're just trying to like get reeled in for food, for dinner time. But
and it's funny actually because I used to be an air cadet, and now I'm a civilian instructor with the Royal Air Force Air Cadets. And so I know exactly what we're on about. It teaches, in your case, and obviously for the cadets I teach, it teaches discipline, but it teaches, kind of thinking in different ways, working together, camaraderie. It's not just molding someone into, a kind of product like a good cadet or a good officer, but helping 100%. You gain life skills as well.
Yeah, that exact saying is thrown around a lot. Like the whole purpose of the military or the army is to train you to be the perfect killer, to be the perfect soldier. When in my experience, it was not that at all. Obviously, there is like a very controversial aspect to it. But the reason I joined it was to gain these leadership skills, gain these networking skills, gain like the ability to work under pressure. A few of the things I did formally was like navigation, was leading like platoons, things like that, drill, which is kind of like the marching stuff.
Yep. Fieldcraft as well, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we did field drill as well. So like weapons handling, section attacks. There was a lot of interesting things that transfer into the corporate world, I feel, as well. For example, especially communication under pressure.
Yeah.
Like how am I able to save someone's life in a field, in like a life or death situation, if I can't communicate to them where the danger is or, what's happening on the field? And similarly, come into a boardroom like this and you're talking to Lord Sugar. Sorry, I watched The Apprentice recently. Is, how are you meant to tell them what the problem is, whether it's like, your share market's going down, whether like the mainframe is exploding. Like you have to communicate that in the best way you can. So I think that sort of skill translated very well. And obviously this was made possible by the people in the military that just have amazing discipline, like really solid communication, leadership, teamwork skills. And I don't think we would be here as a country without, the forces.
Yeah. So obviously that's it's been a really influential aspect of your life, this kind of learning and development through the army officer kind of training. How would you say that has maybe benefited your experience in mainframe kind of progression, in mainframe like education? Maybe has that gained you any skills for use as a Z ambassador? Have they complemented one another?
100%. I think if I could draw it down to a handful of skills in particular, I'd say my boldness and bravery to try new things. I'd say. You might get thrown like a new bit of like software or code or a task in your face that you might not have never done before. Sorry, I wasn't very good English. You might have never done before. And but I think it throws things into perspective, right? So if maybe 2 years ago, the most scary thing you could have told me to do is come on a podcast and talk about mainframe or to run like a campus of a workshop or event with 100 people, I would have been terrified. I would have been like running around like screaming. But then you start when you run around and scream like on a battlefield and like, you know, there's guns pointed in your face. It's thrown into perspective that you're not going to die. Okay, worst case, if the workshop goes badly, fine, you know, you can just do it next week, you know. So I think the courage, bravery, and like ability to like prioritize, put things into perspective. Another thing which slightly off key is the time management aspect of it.
Punctuality.
If say I had to go to what do we even call it? We actually have training nights, drill nights every Wednesday night, and that would be between like say 5 p.m. and I'd only get back at like 10 or 11 at night. That's half my day gone. So managing my time with that, often we'd be deployed on weekends. So I'd leave on a Friday and come back late on a Sunday. So I'd lose a few weekends there. How do I manage to balance my time between university work, doing the army stuff? I also had a few other things going at the time. Before IBM, I was an ambassador for Adobe. So I was doing similar sort of things, running creative workshops, helping people with generative AI. So yeah, balancing all of that was a bit of a task, and it can be overwhelming at times. But again, it comes down to that discipline and that self-belief that I think the army did help me grow into. And
I think that's an important point, because as long as you don't burn out, it's actually really healthy to put yourself out of your comfort zone. You know, I wouldn't have imagined myself, say 3 or 4 years ago, doing what I'm doing here with you today. You might not have imagined being able to do this, you know, 3 or 4 years ago. But in undertaking, you know, kind of these adventures, you know, saying I'm going to sign up to something new, I'm going to sign up to be an Adobe ambassador, a Z Student Ambassador, I'm going to, you know, go to the Army officer training. That has helped us, you know, helped you, and similar experiences with me have helped you kind of grow and learn and try new things, and we're better for it. You know, we are capable of so much more than we might have at first realised. So I guess sort of in summary for each of these, is there maybe one experience in the Mainframe community and one experience in the officer, kind of army officer community, one experience for each that maybe stands out and is kind of the most remarkable to you, the most, you know, you're most happy with?
Okay. Yeah, I'd say for the army, I could say the most memorable experience, probably not the best experience, because they don't exactly go hand in hand. Sometimes it takes a while to realize. Yeah. But was on OTC 6, which was one of our weekend deployments towards the end, was probably like the physically and mentally the most challenging thing I'd had to go through at the time. Not even because like, you know, like this is nothing compared to like real, you know, warfare deployments or anything. But the fact that it was pouring down with rain and it was probably like -101 degrees Celsius for the American audiences. It was Celsius so bad
for the Americans. Yeah.
It was so bad that, and what's even worse is that you don't get like a tent to sleep in. So if any of you've done like Duke of Edinburgh Gold in this country, there's a bit of like, you know, a bit of safety in terms of, you know, you're not going to get wet or like drown in the mud. But that was quite literally what happened to me that night. Like the tent is not even a tent. I forgot what it's called. It might be called a tarp or something. Yeah. But it's a little sheet on top of you, and you're just on top of a roll mat. My legs, knee downwards, were like covered, were literally like soaked. I felt like 10 kgs heavier by the end of it. Yeah, no, trying to get through that night was definitely challenging. But looking back in hindsight, I now know that I can do that.
Perseverance, yeah.
Perseverance, and now that confidence, that pride comes from, okay, what's the next thing now, right? Where do I challenge myself next? I can, you know, you get like a bit of confidence from that. Yeah. Yeah, so it's probably is not the most academic, or, you know, I wouldn't say my IQ went up by any percentage from that experience, but it is valuable in my overall like growth. Secondly, for IBM, I'd say I had a lot of experiences, again, because of the amount of things that have happened in the last few months. But GSC UK, so Guide Share Europe, is Europe's biggest mainframe conference, from what I know. Thanks to Niall here. And it was very, very valuable to me, because it's not an experience that one can just, you know, that everyone can have just for free. Like, this was sponsored by
Waves Scholarship.
The scholarship. So, you know, it would have otherwise cost like 1.5 grand. But I was very grateful to receive that, and it was a treat to experience a bit of the corporate world, specifically within Mainframe. Speak to world leaders and people that have live their entire careers in this industry as someone that is literally just started studying computer science. So I think I'm very grateful for that opportunity, and to meet people that make key decisions in what the future of mainframe. Like that's not every industry you can say, and I can't just go and meet the CEO of Boeing and be like, hey guys, what's going on with the 737? But I just probably want to get that out. But it's a privilege.
Yeah.
And other things I've really enjoyed is being able to share my expertise and knowledge, or not expertise, but like my experiences, insights in mainframe to other people at my university. Now, I haven't actually done as much as I thought I would have by this point. That's because of, University of Birmingham, like guild and things that it takes a bit of time to set up societies and things like that.
Organize these things.
But even just through the people I've spoken to, like on a casual basis, like, okay, you're IBM Z, well, tell me about that. Like, how do I get involved? It's nice to see that people are open to, learning new things. They're excited by new technologies. And I think that aspect of the community really keeps me going. I'd say IBM Z, or the Z/Linux One community, is probably one of the most engaging communities I've been a part of during my time at university. I've also been a member of several other things like Indian SOC, ASOC. Everything brings a different thing to the table culturally. But if you're I came in looking for professional skills to network with people and learn new things surrounding topics I didn't know previously. And I think having access to people like Lela, people like Your Big Year, International Connector, it's just a very big network. And like yourself, IBM champions that honestly spend way more time than I spend with my students and in teaching assistant role. So there's a lot of generous people, which again is like fuels where the society's going.
Yeah. And well, your generation, are going to be the future. It's not. Eventually, my generation will phase out. Every subsequent generation will replace the next. So I think it's really important that we invest in people like yourself. And I was really really proud and chuffed to see that you weren't just attending GSE, but you actually did a talk, didn't you? And you actually won a prize. So do you want to quickly tell our audience about that?
Yeah. So at GSE, I was invited for 2 panel sessions. Well, 2.5 actually. One of them, I was talking about my ambassador role at universities alongside Hanan. And in another one, I was with Sherry and we spoke about, I think it was generally the IBM community and what students are up to. And lastly with Lela, who's global student outreach at IBM. I was with another student at my university and we talked about the IBM Z Datathon and what our experiences were participating in that competition. And generally like we spoke a lot about our experiences despite it being very new to Z as we call it.
Just being new though doesn't mean you don't have insights, doesn't mean you don't have things to offer though, right? Like, and I think that's really great that you were able to share these experiences even despite maybe thinking, well, am I new? Should someone else be up here?
Yeah. There's a lot of imposter syndrome. Definitely, I experienced that then. I still experience that now. Like, what gives me the right to talk about things that people have done for 30 years? But the fact that I'm welcomed and like I feel I was even invited here, it keeps the motivation going.
Yeah. And the prize you won, do you remember what that was?
Oh yeah, the prize we got was for a photography competition. So taking the most creative photo at GSE UK this year. My idea was to do light painting. It's basically where you crank the shutter speed really slow, and you can draw like lines and patterns in a single photo. And that was really fun. We kind of collaged that with photos that we took throughout the whole 4 days with everyone we could find, to be honest. And we won a little Lego camera, which is very cool. We still haven't built that.
We need to get onto that.
Yeah, no, it's because of the issue that we've split up. Like she's in London, we're in Birmingham, so we still need to get together and actually build that. But
it was nice that as well, like you said, it was a collaboration, and I think that's what's so special about the mainframe space is that you can meet people and only have met them, only have like physically spoken to them over the course of a week, and you can still have these really great relationships where you'll collaborate on photos and you'll win prizes together and you'll stay in contact afterwards.
Yeah. The GSC was a great place to meet professionals and also students interested in the same thing from different universities. There was Wolverhampton there was some Astons, BCUs.
Yeah.
Again, you know, it exposes you to like the real world, not just a little campus.
Exactly. Yeah. So with all this said and done, what would be your kind of main tip to our audience? Like, have you got anything that you would suggest, you know, is the main tip for anyone who's interested in joining this community or wants to get the most out of it?
Say, put yourself out there. I think everyone has that spark and ambition in them. Just like, you know, let loose. Nothing you do now you will regret unless, you know, you've done something horrible. But everything means something, you know, even if it's not the most significant thing and you forget about it in 2 weeks' time, you know, you've learned something. But whether it's doing a course on IBM Z Explore, or if it's like speaking to someone, networking with someone on LinkedIn who's like a professional or like expert in that field, everything means something. So you know, you're not going to lose anything. You might as well learn as much as you can with, it doesn't have to be mainframe, it can be whatever. Some maybe a friend told you about a small little technology that's quite relevant, but you know, it might turn out to be Bitcoin in 10 years. Who knows? Yeah. I'd say keep the opportunities open. That's what I try to do every day, keep the doors open and see where it takes me.
Absolutely. I mean, like you saying, you know, learning different technologies, people probably said 10 years ago, Python would never have anything to do with the mainframe, and kind of look where we are. Yeah. So.
10 years ago, they said COBOL would be dead, and look where we are now as well.
Yeah. So I guess the kind of final question then for the future, for our audience who might see you at future events, are there any events that you're looking to attend in the future? Are there any events that you expect to, you know, be coming to?
I'm unsure of any of the IBM specific events or mainframe events in general, such as conferences and things. I am planning to host an event at my university though, with I was reached out to by an apprentice at IBM who wants to come and bring like a whole workshop about IBM MQ. So not exactly mainframe, but similar sort of realms. And we're trying to like, you know, run this event for second years. So it's going to be maybe 100 of them, hopefully, and see how it goes. But yeah, it definitely, with my society slowly setting up, and now with some support from like my module leads as part of the CS department, hopefully we can get some traction going.
That's amazing. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time, Ajeet.
Thank you, Niall. Great to be here.
Thank you to everyone in our audience for tuning into the Mainframe community and keeping out for future episodes of TMC from Mainframe Society. Thank you very much.
Thank you.